Okay, I had a brief error there. What I had done is I was trying to display this page with this text on it, and unfortunately I had not hit save here. So it was this index page says extend this page. This page had not been saved yet, so it was essentially empty, and so I was getting back an empty page. But once I actually did hit save, then everything was working correctly, and here's my updated text. Okay, so let's go back to our instructions. So it says we need basically every single one of our pages to work like this. They need to have the CSS file at the top, and they need to inherit from base.html. And so since they all need to do that, now the content of those pages is still up for discussion. We'll have to read some more, but let's go ahead and just set them up the way they're supposed to be, since we know what they're supposed to be like. I'm just going to copy my index.html, and I'm going to put that on display. I'm going to put that on show hero, and I'll put that on show hero info. Okay, nice. So if we're doing an exam right now, we're getting credit for all the things that we were supposed to do. We now have 4 relatively brief pages that all inherit from a kind of parent header footer page that has some CSS file in it. So we've done an extraordinarily lot of things so far on this sample problem. Okay, so I bet you we're going to finally figure out what it is we're doing in these pages. All right, so let's kind of scroll on down here. All right, it says the base.html must have the title of my hero database in an h1 tag, and or it must have a title of my hero database and an h1 tag containing this is my hero database. Okay, so let's go to our base.html page. There's the title, and right here we're going to have an h1 that says whatever it says here. This is my hero database. This is my hero database. Save. All right, so let's go ahead and reload. All right, so this is kind of offset, which is a little bit annoying, but it's fine. And that should show up on every single page. Okay, so we've got that instruction done. It says don't worry about making it look pretty. In the base.html page, after the h1 tag and before the endBody tag, you will insert content from the other HTML templates. So we kind of understand that. So after this h1 and before this endBody, this is where we're going to be inserting all of our content. Fair enough. Essentially, it was saying you just need this before the body tag, after the h1 tag. Okay. It says the display.html page has an HTML div tag in it, and within it, it shows the data in the heroes table, the hero name, secret identity name, etc., publisher, and superpower. Separate each. So now we're actually getting to the functionality of an individual page. It says separate each piece of data with a hyphen, and make make all the text uppercase. So it's going to look like this: Superman, Clark Kent, publisher, and the list of superpowers. It says you will need to add data through the admin interface to make this data appear. All right, so now we're ready to actually start doing some super useful things. We've got our display.html page. And so we need to figure out, okay, how is it that we actually display info from a table in a page? All right, so again, if you're in my class, you know that there is a tutorial that says display a database table in a template page. So we open that up, and it's going to say things like, make sure you set up a project, make sure you create a model in that project, and you add some records into the admin interface. And then look at this. Oh, there's only a couple steps left, and then you get to do the rest of the things. Okay, so here's an example of how you would display information in a page. So assuming well, let's go ahead and just rip this off, right? Well, I'm going to rip off some of this right here. Here's an example. Here's an example of looping through a list of something. So instead of employees, we want superheroes. Now we're going to need to have an object that has a list of heroes in it, but we know where we're going with this in the long run. Later on, we've got the code for reading from the database that creates that list. But let's go ahead and just use this first. All right, so we come over to here and we open up our display.html page and copy paste this in, and I'll call this heroes. And assuming that I had a list of heroes, I could say heroes. For hero in heroes, we want to display things like hero. Now we need to remember important pieces of information, like what fields are in here. And so actually, let's go back here and look at what we're supposed to have. We're supposed to have a name and the secret identity. Okay, so let's start simply and not do everything at once. So we're going to want a name. And what is the name going to be? We come over to our, just to refresh our memory, we come over to models.py and we remember that there's, a hero name. Okay, so hero name, and we'll put that right here. And we also are going to have a secret identity name. One thing at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Nice. Okay. So this is our new code that we just added in. We just need to have a, so I could do the secret powers and stuff like that, but that's actually a little complicated. So we'll come back to that. But first we need to update our view file so that it's going to create this list. All right, so looking to our link that we just clicked on a short time ago, I need to find, where is that display table example? Okay, here it is. So we need to, within our function that is going to be rendering our display page, we need to read from the database. And then we need to pass in the results to the page itself. So here's the relevant code. Well, actually, there's a little bit more than that. In fact, so if we come up here, we need to make sure we import the right model. And the model in this case is heroes. And we're going to want to reference that by reading everything from that model right there and then passing that data in and giving it the appropriate name. All right, let's go ahead and work with that. So we go over to our views.py, and here's my display page. Okay, data equals hero, and we're going to need to import this from .models import, and we'll just take everything. And so that'll, and this is going to be a list of heroes. Oops, little typo there. We're going to pass this in to the page. All right, so see how simple it was to retrieve all of the data from the table. We put it into a variable, a list that's going to be called heroes, and then we're going to be able to iterate over it right here for hero in heroes. All right, let's see if it works. Cross our fingers. So we come out here and we go to display. There it is. Sweet. I can't tell you how excited I am right now, because if this was an error, it would really stink, because I've been talking for a long time now. I'm kind of tired of talking. All right, so I'm glad I don't have to back up. All right, so now there's some other things I need to do. I need to put in the publisher according to this instruction. I need to have the publisher, so let's go ahead and grab that. So we'll do a hyphen and Now let's go look and see what the field for that was in our table. So we have a publisher field. So let's go ahead and add that to the page and see if it works. Okay, hero.publisher. Come over to here, reload. All right, woohoo! We're in good shape. Okay, so that's been going well so far, but it's a little tricky when we go to the next step, because remember there was a many-to-many relationship. So there's actually lots of superpowers. So unfortunately, I can't just do hero.superpower. So even though that's what it says right here, there's many of them. And at a high level, I'm thinking, well, if there's a list, that probably means that I just need to do some type of for loop here, which is true. But I honestly don't remember how to do that off the top of my head. I'm going to have to look that up. But let's just see what happens if we try and type this in. Okay. It says superpower.none. So this gives this weird object name right here. Okay, so what I would probably do next is I would go out on the net and say something like how to display many-to-many relationships in a template from Django. Now, I don't honestly remember what page this is on in this book. I know that it's in here somewhere, and so I am going to look around for a minute, and this may take a little while, but I think we'll eventually find it. I just don't know where I'm going to find it right now. So I'm going to dig around a little bit. I know it's in one of the pages. So this is the same thing I would do as if I were Googling. So I'm looking around, and this is not a display page at all. So this is more about setting up your model. So if that's that chapter, then let's go ahead and look at this one. So here's some things about displaying one-to-one and one-to-many and many-to-many. All right, I'm just going to start clicking on some of these. And I'm looking for HTML pages that have that loopy syntax that I was working with before. Aha, this is the kind of thing that I was looking for. So there's an employee, and then there's actually a loop called skill. There's actually a property called skills in here of employees that's many to many. So this looks like what we were doing for each employee in employees list, list off high-level properties of them. But when we get to a many-to-many relationship, we do another for loop. So let me just kind of rip that off. And see if I can parse this out here. Okay, so I'll say for power in hero dot superpower, and then all is the key word here. So we'll do power dot name. All right, get rid of that. Okay, crossing our fingers. Oops, that this is going to work. So listing that out, come back out to the page, reload. No, that has not worked yet. All right, let's see. So I'm getting closer, but what have I done there? I feel like I didn't save something. So hero.publisher for power in hero.superpower.all and power.name, and I printed that out again, and I don't need that. All right, so let's try that again. There we go. All the data that I need, X-ray vision, flight, etc. Okay, nice. I still want, now to make it look like this, I still need hyphens in between everything. So coming back to here. Okay, still looking. So I'll put a hyphen right there. Actually, I'll put the hyphen right there. Save. Reload. Okay, and technically there's an additional space there, but close enough at this particular moment. It says kind of displayed out looking like this, and this is fine. Okay, perfect. So we've got our display.html page. It's got a div. Let's make sure it's got the div tag in it. No, I don't think we've used our div tag in it. So maybe I'll just put the div tag around the whole thing. It's probably what I intended to do earlier. All right. So put div around all that. Reload. All right, good enough. Okay, so done with that one. Now it says the showhero.html page should display in an h2 tag. Okay, let's go over to display, show hero. Looks like my instructions might have gotten, showhero.html. So we've got showhero.html. It says it should have an h2 tag. Fair enough. And it says, and it should display in this page, this web page, or this page features the hero, and then there's a hero name. Hero name. And this needs to be a variable. And we need to feed it in. It says where hero name is the parameter passed to the route and uppercased. Ooh, okay. Well, let's figure out how we're going to deal with this. All right. So earlier in here, it said that this hero route receives a hero name as a parameter, and you pass it in the URL. So how do I do that? Well, I would type in something like how to pass parameters to a Django page. In my particular case, I know that there is a book, and I can look around, and in templates, there's going to be, nope, not in templates. I got a chapter called URL mappings and route parameters. So how to pass a route parameter to something. So as I'm looking through here, I see some interesting things. It says URL patterns. So in my urls.py file, here's like default path, but here's ones where it looks a little interesting. You're passing in actual variables that can later on be used. So in this case, if you pass in a variable, it's going to go to name page view. And if I look a little bit further down here, here's name page view. So we change it from the default to adding in a little comma in the view function, and then that becomes a variable that we can use. Okay, so now I kind of know what to do. All right, so this gives me an idea. So I come back over to here, and let's go to our urls.py file. And here's my hero page, and I need something passed to it. I'm going to need to pass in a string, and it'll be a S name. All right, so just double check that this is what it's supposed to look like. ST, like, so if it's a string, pass it in like that. Okay, great. And then what do I do with it? Well, when it comes into a function, I can reference that name. All right, so coming back over, so the function that it's going to be associated with is show hero page view. So let's actually find the views. Show hero page view. It's going to receive an S name, and I'd like to pass that information into here. Now remember, we always use a variable in this format. So here's what I can do. Copy paste context, and I'll just say hero name is going to contain this variable, and I'll pass it in. And there we go. So that looked like a lot of complicated stuff. So let's just kind of walk through it. We're going to pass into a /hero/ like Superman. And when I do that, Superman gets passed in here. I'm going to create a variable called hero name that can be referenced in the page. And let's go ahead and put this variable name then in the page. Okay, looking good. All right, let's just see if this works. So we go over to here. We go hero/Superman. This page features the hero Superman. And of course, even though this isn't in the database, because this is a parameter being passed in the URL, this works just fine. Yes. Okay, so we're almost done. Okay, so that's the hero route. Let's go to this next one. It says the show hero info page should display in an H2 tag, hero name is published by publisher. So this sounds an awful lot, and it says it says hero name and publisher are parameters passed to the route, and they're uppercased. Oops, I almost missed a point on the exam. I need to make sure those are uppercased. Well, I happen to know that if I just put in a command like that, a pipe and upper, that it would that fixes it. I could have just done a Google search and said, hey, how do you make a Django template variable uppercase, lowercase, etc. It's also available in the book that we've been working with, so I would have looked around for that. But that'll take extra time, and I want to be done sometime soon, so I'll just pretend like, I'll just go with it and just show you that I actually knew it already rather than looking it up. Okay, going back to this problem anyway. This is a very similar page, but it says rather than just passing in one thing, you're passing in two things. And if I come back up here again, it says you're going to have an info route that receives two parameters that look like this. So / the hero name / the publisher. So we were told before how this works. And so then we come down here and it's saying it's very similar to the previous page, but now we need to have two things that are passed in. Okay, well, we already sort of know how to do that. Let's just actually double check something real quick. So if we come up here, this shows us an example of passing in two parameters, one after another, and then this shows us an example of receiving those two parameters so that we could use them. All right, fair enough. So seems like we should do some copy pasting here. So this is our show hero page. Let's go to our show hero info. All right, and the instructions say hero name is published by publisher. All right, let's get this figured out. Bum-ba-da-bum. So in here, it should say hero name is published by publisher. Well, let's plan on having that be our hero name. And let's, I'll just copy paste right there. Let's plan on having a variable called publisher. And then we're happy. Okay, so we need to make a way to eventually view this page. So let's go to our urls.py. And to this page, we'll go /info /str name for the hero name /str string publisher. Excellent. So we have S name and S publisher are going to be passed in. And let's go back to our view then, because we need to accept those variables. And let's copy this information right here. So we have a hero name. Oh, and so we passed in s name from that route, and we're going to pass in s publisher. All right, so the way I formatted that's a little ugly, but I hope that my syntax there is correct. So let's go ahead and give this a whirl. So we're going to come out to here, and we'll go here, and we'll do info Goku / independent. Uh-oh, that did not work at all. So let's go see what we've broken here. So I tried to, I forgot to pass in the variable that holds that. So try that one more time. Reload it again. Yes! Okay, so we have finished most of the hard parts of this exam at this point. There's just a little bit more housekeeping to be done. And it just says, basically it's just going to say pretty up the HTML page. It says the index.html page should display an h2 tag showing welcome to superhero list. All right, so let's just start up with that. Coming back to this. H2, welcome to our superhero list. Good enough. And it says, and it should have 3 links that are styled like bootstrap buttons. All right, so here's the idea. Here's the 3 links: display heroes, hero page, and hero info page. All right, let's see what we can do. First one is display heroes. Next one is, let's see here, hero page. And the next one is hero info page. All right, so what are we going to put in these? Well, there's 2 parts of it. One is it's supposed to be stylized, and then 2, these links need to go somewhere. All right, so let's look at this. Display heroes link goes to the display route, which will show the display.html page. Okay, so we need to remember, how is it that we do our links properly here when we're using Django templates? And so we could Google that, or we could go to a reference. Let's see if I've got some links listed anywhere in this thing. Here is an example in this book of how you do the URLs. So you do the curly brace % URL, and then the name of the path, and then optionally any of the variables. Okay, so with that in mind, we come over to here, URL, and this was called display. All right, so let's test that out. Let's go over to here. I can mouse over it. I can click on it. It goes to the right place. Perfect. All right. Next one says the hero page link calls the superhero route and passes Superman and displays the show hero HTML template. Okay, so let's go back to here, and this is hero, and to pass in a variable, we just put it in there as the next thing in the list, and we'll put Superman in there. Let's go ahead and check that. So reload my page, mouse over it. I see that the URL was looking correct down there at the bottom. And that one worked correctly. And then lastly, let's go to, okay, now it says do the hero info page link, and it's going to pass Superman and DC in the link and display that particular template. So I come over to here. Let me just copy and paste this. And this is info. And then we have a second variable, which is the publisher name. Hit save. Come out over to here, reload again, mouse over. I can see in the lower left, the link is looking good. And there's how I pass information. Wonderful. All right, so there was like one last little trick thing here. It says index.html should display an h2 tag showing the list. And these links are styled like bootstrap buttons. Oh, man. And you know what? Here's some good news. That's the very last thing before zipping up your project if you were finishing this. So let's just see how we would do this particular thing. And it might take a minute to search around on the net, but let's have a Django link. Oh, no, actually, just say this, nothing to do with Django. Link, HTML link styled like bootstrap button. All right, how to make, now we need it to not be a button that looks like a link, but a link that looks like a button. How to make a button look like a link? How to have a link that looks like a bootstrap button? Let's try that one. See if there's anything out there. So this one says, if you include this style sheet right there related to bootstrap, possibly, and then here is a link with button info link to. All right, let's go ahead and see if this is good enough. And I'm going to come back over to here. I'm going to add this into my, there's actually a couple different ways I could have done this. I'm going to add this at the top of this particular page. And let's cross our fingers that this is going to be good enough. I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to need a class for my link. And there we go, class, button info. There we go. And then let's come back out to here, let's go to find my link in my index page. And put this here. And I come out to here. Reload the page. Sweet. Now I got these sweet buttons. All right. So this is an example of an exam problem, and we've gone from top to bottom. At the end of it, one would just add some comments to verify that you did it and zip up the project and submit it. But for all of you who have watched this, I hope that you have a really good idea of how you would go from start to end and create a Django website that uses a bunch of different features, in particular pulling information from a database. Have a good one, and good luck in all your programming. Make lots of money.